All right, everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the Underestimated Podcast. It's your host, Jeremy, right back with another episode. It's been a minute, first episode since the first interview on the podcast, which was absolutely exciting and fun to do. Constantly working on trying to get someone on here next. My new intention is my goal for the year is to have 10 interviews on the pod before the end of the year, and now already having one done in February. That puts me at a pace of doing like one per month going forward. And we haven't got one for the month of March yet, but I'm constantly working to try to get someone on. I mean, like I said, it's hard to um, get an athlete on like during their season, but I'm always willing to work around my interviewees' schedules. So we'll get it done. There's a lot of people that's willing to come on, but it's just trying to match schedules and match their free time with my free time. Even though my free time is uh more widely spanned out than theirs, but we'll get it right. But as you can see by this wrong side by this South Carolina emblem here, we're gonna be giving out some hometown love today, as we are going to be diving into what was a somewhat disappointing but promising season for the South Carolina Gamecocks football team. Now, that is a team that, in the eyes of most, including myself, believe that they deserved a spot in the 2025, or do we consider 24? I think 25 college football playoff. Obviously, we know they didn't get a spot. I think they finished, if I'm not mistaken, 14th or 15th in the rankings for that. I think that was horrible. They finished the year 9-3. I'm sorry, technically that would be 9-4 because they did lose the bowl game against Florida, I believe. But a lot of people didn't play in that game because guys were getting ready for the NFL Combine, because actually South Carolina's representation in the Combine, the NFL Combine this year, is actually the most proud that we've had ever. So, but they started off the year beating an unranked Old Dominion. Then they beat Kentucky in the SEC. Lost by a field goal to LSU, that was ranked 16th at the time. Beat Akron. Lost to Ole Miss 27-3 with the hurt Lenore Sellers. Lost by 2 to Alabama, who were ranked 7th at that time. Blew the brakes off of Oklahoma the week after that. Homecoming SEC game against Texas A&M, who were ranked 10th at the time, beat them by 24. Beat a 24th ranked Vanderbilt in the SEC by 21. Then we were ranked 23 and we beat who were ranked 24th at the time, Missouri, in the SEC game, 34-30. Beat Wofford. Beat a 12th ranked Clemson team when we were 16th at the time in Death Valley, 17-14. And then obviously we lost by 4 to the 21st ranked team at the time in the Citrus Bowl, Illinois. So we take into account injuries, officiating, etc. Obviously, we know that's what do they like to say? Excuses are the tools of the incompetent, right? Okay, cool. But facts is facts. There should have been no reason. Now, this is what I was telling people all year. Did I believe that South Carolina would have won the national championship? The delusion and the bias in me says yes, but in comparison how we stacked up against other teams, probably not. My problem was the fact that the college college football committee expanded the tournament from what was 4 teams to now 12. You mean to tell me we couldn't at least get a shot? Now I understand if we go in there and we lose round one, then I would have been able to live with that. I'm just saying we should have had a shot. 12? I don't believe there were 12 teams better than us this season. Really, in all honesty, in my eyes, we actually finished that year 12-2. The only loss that I truly believe that we endeavored in this year was that loss to Ole Miss. Like, we just went in there and we just didn't have it that day. But that game against Alabama, I believe that is a win. The game against, was it LSU? Yes, the game against LSU, that was a 3-point loss. I believe that is a win as well. So now you're talking about 11-2. Now let's dive into who made the college football playoff. So you have Clemson, Texas, right? So technically, that Clemson spot should have been ours. Now would we have gone in there and got our tails waxed against Texas? Probably so. Quinn Ewers in the crew probably would have put it on us. But so you had Clemson, Texas, Arizona State obviously had a bye. Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon obviously had a bye. SMU, Penn State, Boise State had a bye, and then Indiana and Notre Dame. I'm just going to be honest. I think we can sit here and all agree we would have all rather have seen that exciting Carolina team in the college football playoffs instead of Indiana, SMU, and Clemson. I'm just saying. I think we would have all rather have seen South Carolina. I think they were all more deservingly so of that spot or one of those spots. And to be honest with you, I think they made it to. Did they make it to the semis? Yeah, they made it to the semis. But I wasn't. I didn't enjoy not one Penn State game I saw. I'm just being honest. I didn't enjoy not one. I didn't include them in that. We should have been there over, but because they were getting it done, but I didn't enjoy not one game I saw from them. It really sucks, man, because it's for Carolina fans. You go into every year and you look at all sports. Obviously, our women's basketball has been phenomenal the past 5 years. But in terms of football, we haven't been able. Like we be proud to go to a bowl game every year and win a bowl game. But this team that we had this year was special. This is the highest we've been ranked. I want to say since the Clowney era. And that's probably 10 years ago. I mean, look at the players that we had this year. We were stacked, man. Lenora Sellers, who I was very skeptical about before the season started, but he slowly gained my trust and confidence in him throughout the course of the year. And honestly, for that last, let's say, 4-game span, he rose to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, and now he's one of the highest betting odds to win the Heisman Trophy next year. But not like I said. So Lenora Sellers, Raheem Rocket Sanders, Joshua Simon, Nick Harbor, who I'm gonna say this. I truly hope this turns around. I thank God the boy didn't transfer. The amount of touches that Nick Harbor received this season was atrocious. I don't think there is, and actually I'm going to say it. Yeah. I don't believe there's a DB in college football from this previous season that one-on-one could guard Nick Harbor. I don't believe that. Now, for all my college football players, college football 25 players that have played the game. Now, maybe me playing this game boosted my head up a little bit about this theory. But if anyone played that game, they know that Nick Harbor, was the most cheat code, overpowered, unguardable player in the game. I mean, I was putting up 100 plus with South Carolina. Literally, all you had to do was send Nick Harbor on the fly, and he's going down with it 8 times out of 10. And I believe that notion realistically could have been a reality if he just got more touches this season. I hope he does this year, now that Joshua Simon, I believe, is gone. I think Mazeo Bennett may be gone. But we have most of that receiving core is gone. And so he's probably going to head into this year wide receiver 1, if not wide receiver 2. He should have been wide receiver 1 in this year, but we're going to slowly transition off of that. Other guys that were in the combine. I believe Debo Williams is in the combine, looking to be drafted. Kyle Kennard, who won the... Hold on, let me check. So this past season, he won the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, which is awarded to the Collegiate American Football Defensive Player basically the best defensive player in the NCAA. I was trying to figure out how they were wording it, and it kind of confused me. But anyway, because this is All-American, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and first team All-SEC. Not just him. Nick Emenwari, who had, arguably, I'm going to say it because you can get that nod from me, he had the greatest combine of all time. Let's look at his combine. So, talking about someone who is 6'3", 220, ran a 4.3 40, 10-yard split of 1.4, 43-inch vertical jump, 11.6 broad jump, anticipating 3-cone drill or the 20-yard shuttle, and did 20 reps on the bench press. The dude absolutely, went berserk in the NFL Draft Combine. Like I said, best of all time. Not arguing with anyone. Like I was saying, anybody else I'm trying to highlight here. Dylan Stewart. Yo. They are calling Dylan Stewart the next Jadeveon Clowney. And from watching every game this season, I believe it. That dude, he's special. He's special. I'm so glad that he's only a freshman and that we have him for 3 more years, potentially, unless he, forgoes his eligibility and just decides to leave school early to enter the draft. Which I believe, whenever he decides to go, depending on who's drafting that year and what they need, he's a first round draft pick, hands down. That's not even questionable. But a lot of people are saying that Abdul Carter may go first in this draft, and Dylan Stewart is it's right there, And going forward, things look scary for us. If Lenore Silas can remain healthy and actually rise to the occasion of being a Heisman Trophy candidate, as long as Dylan Stewart continues to do Dylan Stewart things. Now we have some spots to fill, like I said, and Nick. And as long as they do right by Nick and realize that he is him, they'll be fine. And he'll be fine. Obviously, we have some spots to fill. Like, we have to find a replacement for Rocket Sanders because his running ability was pretty substantial for us this year. So you got to replace that. Got to find 2 more targets to throw the ball to, and also a tight end to replace Joshua Simon, who's not your typical tight end. Is more of a receiver than he's a tight end to me, but he was okay for us this year. So got to replace those guys. The line was okay, but could be better. There was a guy, I think his name was, hold on. I remember now, his name was Cam Pringle. Was one of the top offensive linemen in the country last year. Decided to stay home and committed to South Carolina, but didn't really impress me much this past season. Now, granted, that's a freshman. Not every freshman, especially a freshman or lineman, is just going to come in and, light things up. So hopefully he can take that sophomore jump and not a sophomore slump this year. Or next year, rather. But, I get it. Like, a line is 7 people. Obviously, one guy isn't just going to solve all your problems. But I've just expected more out of him. And so hopefully he can give us, meet that expectation that I have and I'm sure others have had of him. And hopefully we can go out and get some guys in the transfer portal to help the North on that line. Luckily for us, he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in all of college football. And so, obviously when you have a dual threat quarterback who's not just going to be standing in the pocket, that doesn't have to just stand there and throw, or can do more than just stand back there and throw, it gives you more flexibility and margin for error because he can roam around the pocket and kind of, better compensate for a poor offensive line. But I am really excited for what we have coming up this upcoming season. Do I think we can make the college football playoff? Yes. Do I think we will? I don't know. Obviously, we in that stacked SEC. But, like I was saying, what a bittersweet, like I said, somewhat disappointing but promising and to some maybe surprising season for South Carolina. That's it from me. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Always remember, don't underestimate, appreciate. For those who didn't check it out already, go tune into the previous episode where I interviewed USC Salt freshman guard Fred Hain. It was an amazing conversation, And I can't wait to explore that with other athletes as we move through a plethora of interviews this year. So without further ado, go.